Hey, are you from a tier 2, tier 3 college and dream of getting placed into Goldman Sachs? So today we have Pranav with us who made it happen. In this podcast, we'll be covering his entire journey and everything you need to know to get placed at Goldman Sachs.
And we'll not stop here. We'll be covering more such journeys of people with hard work and determination. So please join us, subscribe us, and hit that bell icon so that you will get notified each time we upload a new video. I am Madhav,
I am Tanishq
and
and
let's
let's
get
get
started.
started. Hey Pranav, welcome to Debugging Careers with Tanishq and Madhav. We are super excited to have you here. So before we dive into the details, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi. So first of all, thank you Tanishq and Madhav for inviting me here. So basically, I completed my bachelor's from Pune Institute of Computer Technology in computer engineering, and I'm currently working in Goldman Sachs as a software engineer, mostly as a backend software engineer. Yeah, I think that's about me in a nutshell. Yeah.
Wow, Goldman Sachs is a dream company for many students. So was this always your target company, or did you consider other options as well?
Goldman Sachs was like a dream company, but yeah, it wasn't the only company on my radar. There were like a couple of other startups as well as other MNCs as well. But what made Goldman Sachs stand out for me was mostly work in the financial domain. I was more interested in learning the financial aspects and use my software engineering skills in that domain. So like that made me choose Goldman Sachs over other my targeted companies. Yeah.
Okay, and how many offers did you have beforehand? And why did you choose Goldman Sachs?
So yeah, basically I had like 3 to 4 offers. Mostly it was like a mix of startups as well as established companies. So yeah, there were multiple points I actually considered before joining Goldman Sachs. Like I had a talk with my manager at Goldman Sachs, saw like what my team used to do and all, and yeah, it seemed interesting. Like most of my work needed both my software skills as well as knowledge in the financial domain, and I felt like it was an opportunity for me to learn in the financial aspects of my career as well. So that's why I chose Goldman Sachs. Yeah.
Wow. What I see, including my colleges, like my college, in many colleges, once a student is placed, they're not allowed to sit for other placements. So, did you apply for these other companies externally, or was it this case in your college, uh, or you were allowed to sit for multiple companies?
Yeah, I think it's pretty standard nowadays. Even in my college, it was like you would only be allowed to get placed in one company, and you would only be allowed to sit for other company if it's like giving a very huge amount of money or something like that. There was a cap for those companies, so then only you were allowed. So basically, I only got one placement for college. All other companies, I had applied off campus. Yeah.
Okay, okay, nice.
So, what was your parents' reaction when you got selected?
So basically, yeah, the parents will always be happy for any good thing that happens to you. But truth be told, like this was kind of like my third or fourth company to give me an offer. So basically, the reaction was not the same as when I got my first offer. But yeah, they were like very happy. And as you would know, even though Goldman Sachs doesn't directly cater to end users, it's not like a very well-known company for common people. So yeah, it's been hard to actually explain to people that yeah, Goldman Sachs is also a big and good company, as it's a US-based bank, and most of I think people in our parent generation don't know about it. So yeah, that's like I had to explain them like yeah, this is also a good company. It's kind of like a dream company for other people. Literally, like one of my neighbor advised me like if you would have worked hard, you would have gotten into a big Indian company. Like you know many MNCs in India, right? So basically, that was the comment I got from one of the neighbors. Like that's the extent of how much people know Goldman Sachs outside the software domain. So yeah, that was my experience.
So let's talk about the recruitment process a little bit.
Mhm.
So how did the company conduct its hiring process on your campus?
Okay. So basically, I think nowadays Goldman Sachs doesn't visit many of the tier 2, tier 3 campuses. It only visits some select tier 2 colleges and mostly tier 1 colleges. So basically, there is a program that Goldman Sachs conducts every year. It's called the EHCP, that is Engineering Campus Hiring Program. It's like a whole India-wide program for off-campus placements. So everyone is open to apply to it. So I went with the same process, like applied to the EHCP program on their website, and basically they first give a online screening test to all the applicants, and post that whoever are selected through that, they will go through a round of technical interviews before the actual selection.
Okay, uh, so you said that there was a screening round first. So what
Mhm.
was the contents of screening round?
So this also, like the way I've talked with other people also, it that depends on batch to batch. So many times I have also seen people giving a mix of coding as well as application for Goldman Sachs through the same program. But
Okay.
when I actually gave the screening round, it was more like a apti round, like all the questions were a mix of different apti domains like logical reasoning, finding patterns, etc. So it was mostly on the apti side of the things. There was no coding related questions involved as such in the screening round I gave. It were mostly maths and apti questions.
Okay. So what were the difficulty level of those aptitude questions? And how do one prepare for it?
Okay, so basically here, what I feel is aptitude questions are more like what is your stronghold. So basically, I may like the logical reasoning questions more, while one of my friend may like the pattern questions more. So personally, I feel like aptitude questions are easy to medium only, so it's not like very hard. But yeah, they can be tricky at times. You couldn't maybe figure out the logic which is supposed to give you the answer in that short window of time, because I think the time is also crunched in the test. You have to attempt many of the questions, and as there is negative marking, there is also a restriction that you can't just go and pick different questions, right? So basically, I think it's easy to medium, and for preparation, I think the only website I used was India Bix. So it's like you can get the free apti questions for practices and all. You can use that. But yeah, generally speaking, you need not learn anything new. Apti is something that you already know. You have been doing it till your 10th standard, 11th standard. But basically, yeah, practice is what is required there. That you need to have the practice to solve those questions in that crunch time.
So you said that most of the questions were apti questions. So did you also were there other rounds where they asked coding questions, or like it was the part of maybe another screening round?
So basically, in my case, screening round was only apti based. Post
Hmm.
that, I think in technical interviews and all, they covered all the DS and software related aspects of it. But yeah, there was no coding round as such. But yeah, that, as I said, depends on, I think, how they have defined their process for that year. Because I have even seen some of my seniors giving the same test, and they were asked a combination of both. Like there was like apti questions, and then at the end there was like one or two coding questions. But yeah, like I personally didn't have to face that. But yeah, before their campus hiring test, they actually would give you a sample test. They would explain you the structure of the test. So with that, you would know if you should expect coding questions there or not.
Okay. So let's dive into the technical rounds. Can you walk us through each round, like what areas the questions were mainly focused on?
Got it. So basically, I think for freshers at least, there is no defined structure of the round like you see with experienced folks. Okay, there is a coding round, there is a design round, etc. So here, basically, all the three rounds, it was mainly at the interviewer's discretion. So they tried to evaluate you on multiple factors like your basic computer engineering knowledge. DSA is like a majority of a part of it, and they can also try to see like how you approach problems, then how you actually solve the problems in real life, etc. So for me at least, round one consisted mostly on the DS and computer engineering side of the things. I was asked like uh, different questions related to searching, sorting. There's different types of searches, different types of sorts. Even was given a problem solving question to solve, as well as some kind of like project related questions. While second round was mostly based on how I approached the problem. I was given a situation and a problem to solve in that situation, and uh, that was like completely not related to coding. It was kind of tricky. I was asked like how you would approach the problem, like how you would take the requirements, what steps would you follow, etc. Like they were just evaluating me, like how I approach a complex problem, what would be my methodology to solve it, etc. So I think second round was completely evaluated on this stuff, and I think third round was again mix of it, a couple of problem solving questions and mostly theoretical questions related to object oriented programming, then different concepts of OOPs, etc., like the basic computer engineering stuff. And yeah, that was it on the technical side of it.
Okay. So which topic should one prioritize while preparing for DSA?
For DSA as such, I am not sure if we can give priority to any topics because it's mostly company dependent. Like we see, like some of the companies whose rounds are hard, they would more focus on maybe advanced topics like graphs, dynamic programming, etc. While maybe mid-level companies may be more focused on arrays, stack, these kinds of data structure, linear data structures, right? So what my advice would be, like start from scratch, like start from these basic concepts. You should know arrays, queues, uh, then stacks, etc. All these questions related to these data structures, like at a good level, and then you should also have idea of classical DP problems, so that at least you know the classical problems, and if someone gives you a variation, you should at least be able to tackle it. And for graphs, I think you can cover the basic algorithms like DFS, BFS, different types of cost optimization techniques there, etc. So I think this stuff is good. You don't need to be able to like solve all the questions in a code forces contest or like get like very or solve all the hard problems in lead code. You don't need to be at that level, but at least you should know all the basics of it, and you should be able to at least approach the problem, solve it in the interviews.
How many competitive programming questions have you solved throughout your preparation journey?
Okay, now I think this is a difficult question because I think I didn't use like a single platform which will gather stats for me. It was like combination of multiple platforms. So I'm not sure I would have an accurate number, but like just to take a wild guess, maybe 300 to 400.
And which platforms did you use for practice?
So basically, it depends. Like I started my uh, competitive coding journey with Code Forces because I like the like that simplistic UI of Code Forces a lot. So that was the website I started with. Then I also moved to CodeChef. Yeah, I think Code Forces and CodeChef were the ones I used for competitive programming. Yeah, later in the stage, like before interviews and all, I also took a stab at lead code also, but yeah, lead code I didn't use much, but I think yeah, nowadays lead code is like more popular for interview related stuff as you directly get company tags and everything. So yeah, I think these three were the platforms I used.
Okay, okay. So, what advice you would give to students who have learned DSA but want to start with competitive programming? Like they have
The
covered their basic
only
DSA topics like linked list, stack,
hmm.
arrays, and they want to dive into competitive coding.
So basically, competitive coding won't directly help you in interviews. Like if I'm being completely honest with my experience, in interviews they won't start you giving a high level question and you deriving what to do there and do it. Like interviews will mostly be around like how is your thinking capability and how is your DSA knowledge. But competitive programming will be most helpful in the online rounds you get for each company. Like that's the first round you have to clear to actually go to the interview. So that's why I would say competitive programming is pretty important. Just knowing the DSA questions is like the you have all the knowledge, but to actually apply it, you should have practice of deriving like what DSA topic I can use in this question and all those things. So basically, the only advice I'll give you is like just start. Like don't wait for you to complete all the DSA topics and then I'll start competitive coding and all. Like don't wait for this stuff. Even if you do it in parallel, it's fine. Like and it's not like you need to invest your whole day or whole weekends into competitive programming. Just doing like 2 3 questions of different types every day is like more than enough for you to actually gain that particular knowledge and perspective into questions.
Okay. Okay. So let's talk about DSA versus development. Like which one is more important? How did you balance your daily preparation between competitive coding and development?
From the fresher perspective, everyone has to clear an online round, then only you'll go for interviews. And no one will ask you about your projects, about what development you do before your interviews. So basically, online round is an obstacle you need to cover before even giving chance for your development aspect to be shown to the interviewer. So basically, I think DSA, at least for a fresher, DSA you can give more preference so that you are confident that you are at least going to that interview stage.
Mhm.
Then post that you will need your development projects as well. So it's not like you only do DSA, you should also do development. So, and other aspect is even during your normal, at least from the computer engineering perspective, like for our branch, whatever subject we have, whatever mini projects we have, uh, as part of syllabus itself, I have done some development, right? So it's not like I have zero development experience. So basically, it's like even with your syllabus itself, you are having some practice of development. You are having some mini projects, some projects you did for your academics. So basically, you already have a platform for it. So and DSA is something you only see the standard data structures and all are taught in syllabus, but actual problem solving is not there. So I think that needs more of a platform. So at least on the fresher level, you can try to give more preference to problem solving because that is a neglected area in academics as well. While development is also important, but yeah, you can do that kind of prioritization. But yeah, you should do both.
Agree. So
Understood.
did they ask you to write code on whiteboard or just explain the logic for coding problems?
Okay, at least like from my interview experience, it went this way that first they would ask you a question. Sometimes it may be abstract, like they'll keep out some of the requirement or some of the constraints. You actually have to understand the question, ask follow-ups that okay, ask for what assumptions you can make, then ask for constraints, etc. Post that, I think then they'll start discussing approaches. So basically, you can give a brute force approach, or if you have a good approach, you can start with that. And I think interviewer is also helpful. Like most of the interviewers are very helpful in the interview. So it's kind of like a discussion only, not interview per se. So basically, you discuss the approaches, settle on one approach. You may debate which one is better and all. And once you are finalized on one approach, then he will start. Okay, you can start coding. And coding itself, I think for me at least, it was my own editor. They just asked to share the screen. So and like they preferred if I used normal editor without any ID. So basically, I had used Sublime so that at least I have syntax highlighting and all those stuff. So basically, most of the coding I did there. But yeah, they expected me to write the code, although they didn't actually run it. But the expectation was to write the actual code.
Okay. Okay. So were there any tricky or unexpected questions asked?
I think at least in Goldman Sachs interviews, I didn't feel there were any tricky questions. Just like as I mentioned before, there was this second round where I was asked to approach a problem. So that was kind of like a new experience for me because this was the first time I heard of such a problem. Like I was ready for competitive programming. I was ready for problem solving data structures, but I didn't know, okay, this type of problems can also be asked. So for me, at least, if I have to tell you at a high level, it was kind of like there is a city and you want to plant maybe street lights in the city. Now, this is just, I'm giving an example. So this is like, this is the problem. That's it, just a two-liner. Then the things that were evaluated is how am I asking follow-ups? Like I can ask like how big is the city, how many people live in it, what is the budget for my street lighting, like how much one light costs. Like these things I had to ask. Then again, I had to ask for preferences. Is there any preference that okay, whatever the roads are there which are near school should be lighted more or something like that. So basically, this was what we had the discussion on, like what are the requirements, what are the assumptions, then what are the approaches I can take, what are the pros and cons of those approaches. So yeah, this was kind of like a not I can't say tricky, but unexpected type of thing in the interviews. Yeah,
Something.
so it was a fun experience. Yeah.
Yeah, so after hearing that, I understood that it is more of like a system design and optimization kind of
Correct.
because you
But
they
yeah,
want
system design, I think they don't expect directly from freshers. So basically, it wasn't something like I had to design a software or maybe, but it was just they were checking the approach, like how you approach a
approach the
problem.
problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how the evaluation went because anyway, there's no detailed feedback as such, at least for freshers. They don't actually give you detailed feedback. So, but yeah, like this was what I inferred, like how the round would have went.
Hmm. Nice, nice. So like a very basic question. So, uh, like how many like apart from DSN development, did theory subjects also play any role in interviews?
Yeah, so basically, this is also more of a company specific thing because say we
Mhm.
had multiple companies coming in placements, like what the experience I heard from my other peers. So it's mostly like say if a network related company is there, so you can expect some questions from computer networks, network layers, etc. But at least from my perspective, from Goldman Sachs perspective, mostly OS and OP were the what do we say, the actual syllabus subjects which computer fundamental subjects which were covered. But yeah, generally you can expect these subjects to be there. They will ask about it because as you know, if you are an experienced person, you have your last experience or you have the things you worked on, your expertise to actually dig deep. But freshers are kind of like a jack of all trades, right? They try
Correct.
everything, so there is not much to evaluate them from. So that's why basically they go on this side of things, there where they can actually see how you picked up those subjects, how you apply it in real world problems, and etc. So yeah, computer fundamentals are important. So you should cover everything, but maybe you can do some research on what type of company it is, past
Mm,
experiences. According to that, maybe give prioritization to some of those subjects so that you are more prepared in those.
correct. And not even DBMS for Goldman Sachs, maybe normal forms or something.
Oh yeah, DBMS was also there. Sorry, I missed it. DBMS was like a huge part of it. But yeah, that came into play directly at the third round per se. So uh, basically, DBMS. That's why I missed it out because OOP was something which was there in first and second round as well. So
Correct, correct.
yeah, DBMS was also a part. But I think for me, normal forms and all were not covered. They tested this query writing, asked me to write a couple of queries given the table structure and all. But yeah, like you have to keep in mind, like these are just like 45 minutes, 50 minutes around, so they can't ask you everything. So just
Correct.
because it wasn't asked for me doesn't mean that it won't be asked. Like it all depends on your interviewer and uh, what they decide should be asked. So basically, it's just a 50 minutes window. So it's not like they'll ask you everything, but yeah, you have to be ready for everything. So preparation wise, you have to cover everything.
Correct, correct. And what kind of project related questions were asked? Like the projects that you did in your engineering.
Mhm. So I think basically project related questions in the sense they mostly try to see if you really did that project, how you did that project, because there are many cases where people just put the project, they haven't done anything, etc. So
Okay.
basically they try to probe more on like what were the features, how you implemented it, what technologies you used, these kind of things they probe more, so that if you have really done your own projects, you would have no issues answering all these small caveats and everything. They will also ask you maybe what were the problems faced, something like say in case I have added Firebase as a database in that subject. So they'll ask about me what problems you faced in connecting your Firebase to your backend. So basically, they expect that okay, I should be able to tell them some kind of problem related to connectivity and how I connected it to DB. So that can only be answered if you all actually did it or you have knowledge of that. So
Correct.
basically, that is the thing they try to evaluate more. Like if you really did it, if you really did it, then maybe what technologies you used and all those kind of stuff. Because anyway, say how I built my library management system won't affect what I do currently at Goldman Sachs, right? So the thing they are trying to check here is like how do you fare in development? How do you work with a team? Etc. So basically, the focus is not on okay, what complex thing you built. Even if it's a simple project, that's fine. So this is not like a thing where they actually evaluate you on complexity of the project. Like you have a very complex machine learning project, then you will get preference, while someone has a simple library management and they won't get. It's not like that. So it's mostly they try to evaluate you and not your project. So basically, you should be aware of that. So before going to any interview, make sure that you know every nook and corner of your resume. There shouldn't be anything that you don't know, because it's a huge negative that you have put it on your resume, but still you don't know it. It comes
Mm.
out like you have not write the correct information on your resume. So that is kind of like a negative in an interview. So the same applies to the project section also. Yeah,
So basically, the tip here is that you always write what you know in your resume, right?
correct.
Correct. Cool. How important are communication skills in the technical interviews?
I think any round you take into consideration, communication skills are like very important. And communication skills, I don't mean that you should be able to speak fluent English or you should have some kind of accent or something. Communication skills is more than that. Communication skills means like, are you able to explain what you want to tell, and the interviewer is actually uh,
Able to understand.
like able to understand it completely. So it doesn't matter if your English is bad or something like that. No one evaluates on you on your fluency in English. You can like anytime upgrade it, so that's fine. But the only thing you should consider is whatever you want to say is correctly getting communicated to the interviewer, because interviewer is like a complete stranger. He won't know you, so he will only know the things about you which you are able to tell him. So basically, you are actually creating your own picture in front of him. So that is something that needs to be communicated. Even let's give you an example. So there is a problem I'm trying to solve. I have an approach in mind, but I'm not sure that if I can apply it correctly. Like, and if I just stay silent and just keep thinking, the interview will go nowhere. But even if I know I am not able to write it, if I just go and tell the interviewer, okay, this is the approach I'm thinking, this is how I was thinking, but I'm not able to understand how to apply it. So even though you say you are not able to understand, it's not a negative. You still reach that point, and maybe the interviewer will give you a hint, and with that hint you may be able to solve it. So being completely silent, not able to tell him what you're thinking, is like more negative than actually telling him, okay, I figured out this much and I am not sure what to do further, and he gives you a hint and you solve it. So the second one is more positive. So basically, even though in technical round there is not much communication other than the actual technicalities of the question and everything, still to actually let them know what you are currently thinking, what you are trying to do is kind of like a plus, so that even they can help you, guide you in the right direction and evaluate you properly. Right. So yeah, communication skills are important. That is something that every interviewer should work on.
Okay, nice.
So after technical rounds, there's usually an HR round. So what was your
Mhm.
experience?
So that HR round also depends upon companies. So for example, in Goldman Sachs, at least we didn't have a separate HR round as such, but all the technical round itself consisted of like last 5 6 minutes consisted of these HR questions, while the last round mostly like 15 20 minutes was occupied by these HR type of questions. But I think yeah, the thing to consider for these HR questions are these are like normal discussions. This is not something you need to learn something, or like DSA, maybe you need to practice or something like that. It doesn't help, right? Because the HR questions can be anything. So there, I think the only points I considered was like give honest answers, whatever you have to give. Just make sure that your answer shouldn't be something that is negative to the company.
Okay.
So, something like maybe if a company asks you like if there is another company which will give you a better offer, will you go for it? So even though I know your views may be different, you shouldn't say okay, I'll go for it. So these are like some things you need to consider. But yeah, like a well-known tip for this situation type questions. If someone asks, okay, there is a conflict in your project, how did you solve it, or something like this. These can also be HR questions. So there you can follow that star approach where you first explain what was the situation, what was the task, what action did you take, and what was the response on it, what was the result of it. So something like in that sequence you can explain so that all the points are covered. And the other thing is before any company, you can just search for its recent questions or any normal HR questions. And according to your resume, your past projects, you can just mentally prepare, okay, if someone asks me this common question, what will I answer? Because if you haven't thought about it, you go to interview and they ask you, okay, what was the biggest mistake in this project? So basically thinking about it at that time becomes like very hard, or maybe you may miss one of the good situation that you faced but you didn't recollect during interview, right? So
Right.
basically if you just have thought it about like this is like a very common question, right? So this is you will get anywhere on the internet. So basically just seeing that question and just thinking about it, okay, if this question comes to me in the interview, what situation will I actually consider to give my response? So just thinking about that makes your decision to choose and like explain that situation becomes like very efficient. So so that you can actually answer it in the HR round very clearly and like without missing anything. So that is like one tip you can consider for HR rounds. But yeah, most of them you don't need to stress over, as long as you have some kind of practice like this, that common questions you know how to give answer of. And even there, even if you say, because there is no right or wrong answer, right? If I say my biggest mistake was not planning properly, it's still a correct answer. Or second, if I say my biggest mistake was using MongoDB instead of SQL in that project, I'm talking on the context of project. So
Mhm.
both are right answers. There is no right or wrong answer in this. It's just how you explain it. Does it seems plausible for the interviewer? It shouldn't seem to the interviewer, okay, he's just giving answers for the sake of it. That
Okay.
shouldn't happen. Just okay. So I think yeah, that's all you need to think for HRMs.
Okay. Okay.
So let's come to the most important question, which is the salary, perks, and offer details. So we have done some market research from Glassdoor and Ambition Box, and we got to know that for tier 2 colleges, the base salary range is 15 to 20, and for tier 1 colleges, it is 20 to 25. So how true is that?
Okay, I think this is the toughest question in this whole podcast. So I don't think I can confirm on any range or any number, but yeah, I can assure you that the salary is as competitive as all the other MNCs out there, which you know, and yeah, you can do your own research. How much salary does Goldman gives and also, yeah, I think yeah, from me, I think that's the answer you're gonna get. It's competitive and comparable to all the other big MNCs you would know of.
Okay. And was the salary range same for everyone, or was the range and offered were like, or the role or position was different for each person?
No, I don't think each person, like all the people who got placed from my college, everyone had the same structure, same offer. So at least for fresher position, like me and all the people who joined with me from the same college had the same salary. Yeah.
Okay, nice, nice. So what was your reaction when you got selected? Because it must have felt very nice for you, like you cracked the Goldman Sachs, which is a dream company for many.
So I'm not sure how it happens every year, but at least when we gave it. For us, like the time when we had our last interview to when we actually received the offer through mail, it was like there was kind of like 1.5 month gap between it. So basically we knew that whenever you are selected, you generally quickly get the mail. If you are not, you get the mail after 2 months saying, okay, thank you for interviewing. So when I first received the mail, I was searching for, okay, it's another again, like, thank you for interviewing with us, it was a good experience for us, but we are not moving forward. But yeah, the moment I opened the mail, it started with congratulations. So yeah, it was kind of like a surprise. Oh, I'm selected. So
Nice.
yeah, it was kind of like a very happy moment that okay, when you have already decided, okay, you are not going to get in, and you get a congratulations email. So yeah, it was like kind of a decent surprise.
So let's discuss about the preparation strategy and resources.
Mhm.
So if someone wants to crack Goldman Sachs interview, what would your preparation roadmap look like?
I think if I had to like again start and show you the roadmap how the preparation should go, I would first maybe concentrate more on problem solving and DSA. Basically, I would try to cover all the basic data structures, and in advanced data structures, I would try to cover dynamic programming, graphs, and trees. These three I would try to cover properly. For example, I think dynamic programming, or as I said, all the classical problems I would try to cover. Practice a lot of other variations. For graphs and trees, I would mostly try to do this traversal algorithms, then the shortest path algorithms, etc. Then again, this is mostly on the DSA part. For APT, if you're not so confident about yourself, I would suggest you would do like daily practice on India Bits, or I think there are some of good local publication books also you'll get on APT, where you will get this whole set of MCQs where you can practice, and maybe you should do it more in kind of a timed way, because apti is not something that is difficult, but it is something that is difficult for you to attempt in the short amount of time. So you should be confident that you are able to solve a good amount of problems in that 1 hour window or 2 hour window. So basically timed practice for apti as well as problem solving. Then for computer fundamentals, I would more focus on object-oriented programming concepts, DBMS concepts, and OS concepts, because all the three are very important in majority of the companies, and more so in Goldman Sachs as well. Then I think the other most important aspect of interview would be the resume. Like you should invest like 2 3 days to actually get your resume in the way you want. Just choose a simple template, not too fancy, not too plain, and try to put in more things about your project, your achievements. Like these certifications and all are good to put, but I would suggest like it's not like a deal breaker for any company. The the importance of these sections, the achievements, then again, what are the key achievements? Example, like if you have won any competitions, any hackathons, etc., your key projects, these are the sections which people look into more in the interviews. So basically, I would spend more time on these sections and try to understand everything. Like I would try to be confident that if anyone asks me anything about any word on my resume, I should be able to justify it. I should be able to talk about it. So that is one thing that you should be absolutely clear for the interviews. And then the last thing is HR round. But yeah, HR round is something I don't think you need to prepare for it like way before the interview. You can just prepare for it like 1 or 2 days before the interview. It's still fine because it's mostly on your own experiences. You just need to formulate how will you tell it. So basically, that's kind of easy. So this is how my roadmap would look like if I have to prepare for Goldman Sachs.
Looks like a complete roadmap to me. So as you mentioned, right, ki when you started your competitive coding journey, you were like mainly using Code Forces and Code Chef for competitive preparation. So what platforms would you suggest to fresher who is just new to competitive coding? Because the difficulty level on platforms like Code Chef and Code Forces are a bit higher. So when, like I remember when I started my competitive coding journey, I started with Geeks for Geeks. So what platform would you suggest for fresher who is just new to competitive coding?
And like someone who is starting very initially, I'll suggest you can go for Code Forces. And say if you are someone who is starting like very late at say start of fourth year, end of third year, in these cases, I would suggest you can go for Lead Code because Lead Code is more interview oriented, not problem solving oriented. You would get company specific problems, the problems which actually target specific data structures, specific concepts of data structures. These questions will actually help you in cracking whatever questions would be asked in interviews. But yeah, if you want to increase your problem solving capability, if you want to increase your intuition in those cases, I would suggest go for Code Forces. The good thing is there you don't know what type of concept is being tested. So basically you don't have any pointers, you have to think on your own, and if you are not able to do it, you can then read the editorial.
And what common mistakes one candidate should avoid that can cost them their job? And what do you think you could have done even better? Like you cracked the interview, but like do you have something that you could have done better?
Okay, so let's first start with the common mistakes. Uh, basically, at least say if you are thinking about pre-interview kind of thing, then I would suggest starting competitive programming. Basically, in first year, even in first year I knew what competitive programming is and all, I didn't start actually doing it. As like even though I don't regret it, but mostly going on outings with friends, enjoying the college life. Even though I don't regret it now, but still that is something that if I start over, I would have at least started some basics of it and all. So at least I would have been even at a greater level than I am today in competitive programming point of view, because a year of just light competitive programming will also help you a lot. So even though I knew it, I didn't start it. So that is like a one thing that people do, that they think, okay, interviews are in fourth year. Why do you want to start in first year? So that is one thing they can avoid. Then the other common mistake would be, I would say, in the actual interviews, the communication gap where people tend to not say wrong things, or maybe if I frame it more correctly, tend to not say things just because they think it is wrong. So like it happens like like saying something incorrect is better than remaining silent, because remaining silent when you are stuck is kind of like you are not going forward. Interviewer is also not able to help you. Your interview is kind of at a stale point and it's a huge negative. While even if you say something incorrect, hearing that interviewer may give you some kind of a hint which you can use to actually go to the right solution. So after saying something incorrect, if you still reach at a right solution after taking all the hints, thinking it carefully, it's a plus rather than actually staying silent. So that is one thing that people can consider in interviews. Then the other thing is evaluating the interviews yourself. Like I've seen people uh, giving the second or third interview like very casually, just saying, okay, my first interview was very bad. There is no chance I will get selected. Then why should I even work hard? It's anyway, this company is gone for me. I'll just give it casually. So that is one thing people can avoid, because even though you feel the interview wasn't good, interviewer may have been impressed by some of the points you said, how you approach the problem, even though you weren't able to solve the problem. So that is one thing people should avoid. That don't self-judge. Interviewer is there to judge you. Just give it your best, even like no matter how the interview goes. So that is the another common mistake I feel people generally do. And the other thing I already covered, that writing or exaggerating things on resume, that is like a very bad thing, because
Correct.
even if your resume looks good because of that, if someone asks question on that and you are not able to answer properly, that will completely go in the negative side of the things. So
Right.
these are the common mistakes people should avoid. And as for what I would do differently if I were again to give the same interviews, uh, yeah, maybe in this case, yeah, everyone has regrets. Like after every interview, you will think like, okay, this question I would, if I would have answered this, it would have been better. Like this mostly happens in HR questions. Like I told, if someone asked me, okay, what was the part where you faced difficulty? I said something, but after interview, I'll remember, oh, if I would have
Uh,
said this, this would have been even better. So these
Correct.
things will always be there. But yeah, the only thing you need to take it from this is like just see what mistakes you made, review your interview, what could have been better, and that's it. Don't dwell on it. Like use it to improve yourself, but don't get depressed. Okay, my interview was not good, I did this. Like just let it go and prepare for the next one. So
Okay.
yeah, I think yeah, that were my two pieces on this.
Okay. So what challenges did you face in your DSA preparation journey, and how you overcome them? Like if you're stuck on any problem, so what was your approach like that helped you solve it?
So yeah, basically, so here I think a big mistake I did in my second year, third year was I wanted to solve the problem at any cost. So for example, if there is any problem I'm stuck at, I won't see any hints or solution. I'll just keep on thinking on that problem, like take that problem to the class, just keep scribbling, checking what can. Yeah, and many of the times I was able to solve it maybe after a day of thinking or something like that. But it actually reduced my potential to actually cover more concepts, right? So basically, it's like this. So if a problem you are able to solve easily, you already know it. You didn't gain anything. If you have to think something for it, you have to give some effort. You are actually upskilling yourself. And if you are not able to solve it, then if you see hint and try to solve it, or see the solution, like understand the concept, it's like a huge win. You learned something new. So basically, I think in one of the similar podcasts or somewhere I heard that basically how you should approach is maybe take a problem, try it for 30 minutes. If in the whole 30 minutes you are stuck at the same place, not like you are just stuck, you are stuck at the same place. You are not able to think anything new. Then no need to again waste more time on it. You can just okay go check a hint and see if you are getting unblocked. If you are still not unblocked, check the editorial. If you are and try to do the code. If you are still not unblocked, you can directly see the solution as well. So basically, this way, what will happen is you would not waste your time on a single problem, on a single concept. Instead, you try to solve it, you put in your efforts. If you are not, you learn that concept and upsolve. So this process is called upsolving, where you actually review what went wrong or what were you not able to figure out, learn that concept, and again try that question on your own. So that is something that will help you get unblocked, save your time as well, and uh, this will potentially avoid all the time wastage you would have. So yeah, that is one thing that is kind of like a blocker for many people in DSA. And this method they can use to actually time the problem so that they are not stuck indefinitely on the same problem.
Agree. So, like when you're stuck on any problem, when you go into discussions, like there are multiple solutions available. So there, like you can get multiple approaches to single problem. So different approaches can be applied to different questions also. So yeah, that is like very helpful going into discussions quickly
Right.
and then going through the solutions.
Correct. So that is also one thing, right? So even though you solve the problem, even though every test case passed on that platform, but it doesn't ensure that that's the optimal solution. There can be more optimizations also. So it's always a good practice, even though you solved it, just go in editorial, go in discussions, and just confirm whatever you did was the most optimal approach. If it wasn't, what is the most optimal approach? How, like, what changes were made to your approach to make it more optimal? So that is something that can help you in further problems.
Right.
Yeah, just one question that was coming into my mind. So does the luck factor plays a like huge role in the interviews? Because like maybe you solved that question before, and the same question came in your interview. Interview asked me, interview asked you, and you can just play along that I don't know. I am just solving the question and then moving along with
Yeah,
that.
so basically, luck is like a huge factor. So even in your situation, skill also matters. Like even though there are two people who got a repeated problem, one person was able to play it around properly, showing that he didn't see the problem, while the other person was like he tried to play along, but the interviewer caught, okay, he already knows the problem, so that becomes a negative.
Correct,
So
correct.
both aspects are there, but yeah, luck is kind of like a huge part of it in the interviews. That's why you can't just dwell on one rejection, because luck plays a whole lot role, because interviewers are different. It may be possible that okay, one of your friend got an interviewer who asked everything about graphs, so people
Correct.
find it okay, graphs are difficult, while the other interviewer you got, he or she may not be that inclined to the graphs, and she may ask you questions on stack or array which you feel were easy. So now
Mhm.
here, no one is at fault. The interviewers did their own testing. It's just okay. Your luck was good. You got the questions of what you are good at. So maybe if questions were reversed, he would have got selected instead of you. So
Correct,
luck
correct.
is also like a huge part of this interview process. But yeah, that you have to always consider. But yeah, disregarding luck, you should work on your skills. That okay, even
Correct.
they matter, because luck is not in your hand, right? So the only thing on your hand is how much you work on your skills. So you can just concentrate on that part.
Well said, well said. So, so thank you for your time. Before we wrap up, what is your golden tip for anyone who is preparing for Goldman Sachs? Just one liner tip.
So if I have to give a one-liner tip that generally was like a very eye-opener for me, would be you have to sell yourself. As I said, the interviewer doesn't know anything about you. In case, say, if your professor was taking your interview, they know, okay, you are good in exams, you are good in this, you are good in that. They'll evaluate you accordingly. But here, your interviewer is a complete stranger. They don't know anything about you apart from your name and branch. So basically, it's like whatever you tell him is the only thing he knows. So even if you did 100 good things, but you are just telling him one bad thing you did, he doesn't know about those 100 good things. He'll evaluate you as okay, you did this one bad thing, you are bad. So basically,
Mm.
you are your own storyteller. So there, I think you should portray yourself such that you are capable for that job, and you what do we say, you are extraordinary, something like that. You need to portray it. So that's where
Totally.
your communication skills come into picture. So that is like a golden tip that you should know, that interviewer doesn't know, okay, if you are a topper, you are a backbencher, you have two backs or something. He doesn't know. It all depends upon what you are telling him. So as long as you are properly communicating him your strengths, you are properly explaining him how you would be good for this job, or how you are good at whatever you do, you can get selected. Like what your past or what you did doesn't matter in this.
So just sell yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, cool. So let's enter to the fun rapid fire round. Just say the first thing that comes to your mind. No need to think a lot.
Okay.
So, one word about Goldman Sachs.
Okay. One word. Maybe something kind of reputed, huge.
Nice, nice. Toughest question that you faced.
First question. Okay, this is something I need to think about. There were many tough questions. Okay, for not for Goldman Sachs, but for one of the MNC internships, I was asked like a DP question in the first round, and it was kind of like code forces due to D kind of question.
Oh,
And so, just to give a context, in code forces, the difficulty level increases with each division as you go lower, and
correctly.
difficulty level increases in the questions also as you go higher in the alphabet. So D is kind of like last third. So that was kind of the most difficult question I faced. Difficult question that I was able to answer.
Nice,
So
nice.
I don't remember the exact question, but yeah, that was related to a variation of coin change DP, I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay. What are your criteria while choosing a company? Three criterias.
Uh, okay, so if I just have to name the three, I think this is famous everywhere. There is people, work, and money. So I think if you're a
Nice.
fresher, people doesn't matter because they don't have much visibility. Like what would their team be, what are their teammates and all. But yeah, generally for people aspect, you can see the culture, you can talk with your seniors, etc. For work wise, you can talk with your hiring manager or whenever they do PPTs and all in your college, you can ask them about the tech stack, what is the everyday work and all. And third is obvious, like that is their money is also plays a crucial role. But yeah, these are
Correct.
the three things that someone
Very
should
well
look
said.
for.
Very well said. Very well said. One interview tip that changed your game.
I think yeah, we covered it in the last question. That's the same.
Yeah,
Sell yourself. Doesn't matter what you did or how you were in your even. And this is not only for freshers. Like everywhere you go, interview
correct.
is just like they are evaluating your whole skill set, your whole career in 1 hour. So in that 1 hour, they can't actually review everything. So whatever you tell them is the baseline for them. That's the truth for them. It doesn't matter if it really happened that way. For example, even if I'm not good at graphs or I'm not good at data structures, I can actually portray myself as I'm very good at development and just keep on stressing on those points, giving him more evidences of that, and he will have a positive image of me that okay, this guy is very good at development. So basically, even though I'm bad at problem solving, I portrayed myself as good at development, and which stuck with him, which helped me in getting selected. So yeah.
Nice. Nice. And how do you handle pressure during placements? It's a big one, but like, can you just summarize it for us?
So I think yeah, everyone feels the pressure of getting placed early or getting placed somewhere, then again getting placed in a good company. So I think yeah, so handling of pressure, everyone handles it differently, right? For me at least, most of my go-to things were like just going on outing with friends. As you know, there are many spots near Pune, so basically we would just on a weekend or somewhere, even though we know there are interviews, but just going on outing for 4 or 5 hours is still like a very good refresher. Then again, other thing is taking breaks. Even in your preparation journey, taking breaks is very important. It's not like you can continuously. So like I have watched a lot of series, played a lot of games, etc. in those breaks. So yeah, it's not like you need to be giving 100% of your time to the preparation. It's just whatever time you give it diligently, and you can take your own breaks for the other things as well.
All right, that was amazing. Thanks a lot, Pranav, for sharing your journey. I'm sure this will help a lot of aspirants, and wishing you all the best in your career from both of us.
Thank
Sure,
you.
thanks. It was like a good podcast. So yeah, thank you for inviting me here.
Thanks for being here, Pranav. It was amazing.
Thank you. So that was it. If you want us to cover any specific companies or have any specific questions, do let us know in that comment section.